Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
All right, welcome into the View from C-Deck in a week that you can't be too mad if you're a Buckeye fan as we shit stomp Michigan State all over the field, especially in the first half. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like a damn superhero, and your boy was in the building for the first time in a while, and the Margolis curse, the Just Matt curse, does not extend. If you know me, we lose a lot when I go to games, but I don't go that frequently. It's usually a big game. I think I went to 4 of Urban's 9 losses, which is pretty impressive since I only went to about 10 games during his era. But Dyerwolf, I'll hold my thoughts from inside the stadium until I hear what you thought, sitting there at home while watching them on the couch. What'd you think as the Buckeyes do what they do to Michigan State every freaking year?
Oh, yeah. Of course I loved it. Finally got out to a fast start. I think they scored 10 points or less in like half the games this year in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
So this was right, just what the doctor ordered. Momentum, I think we're peaking at the right time. McCord, I would say, had his best game of the year easily.
Mm-hmm.
We were feeding our Harrison didn't even have a catch in that first drive, but we were giving our playmakers the ball. Stover finally in there catching balls. Love seeing him in there, but just Marvin the Martian, after a lackluster game last week, although he did have 2 touchdowns, I think he firmly put himself to very realistically be a finalist in the Heisman, be invited to New York. Defense giving up yards, didn't really love that, but that's what they've been doing all year. They bend, don't break. I know that's kind of a, I don't know if that's exactly how I would say it, because that's sometimes not how you would describe an elite defense, just like above average defense. But man, once teams get across the 50 or in really important plays is when they really fall out. And I was impressed across the board. I really wish Day didn't take his foot off the pedal in the second half. It drives me nuts when we finally get these guys in. You're letting these backups play, but then you change the playbook. You're playing like just casual, run the clock out. Like, what's the point of having them in if they're not going to play how they normally would next year?
Yeah, especially for these guys, they haven't got in this year. Like, we didn't have these blowout games early in the season like we oftentimes do. So it would have been nice to see them run something relatively close to the playbook for at least 2 series. That's too much to ask. But I agree with most of what you said there. It was a very complete performance in the first half. Marvin doesn't catch a pass, but he gets a run on a nice little trick end around, and he looks great running the ball. He looks so much better running the ball this year, with the ball in his hands after the catch, which, I mean, if you don't, I think he's the #1 player in the draft. I don't really care. Like, I've watched enough Caleb Williams. He's great, but it's like a better version of Johnny Manziel. I don't know if that works in the NBA, in the NFL, where it's a lot of street ball, a lot of running around. This is a sure freaking thing. You aren't going to get fired for taking Marvin Harrison. I'll tell you that. But yeah, he's a freak. Yeah, McCord's ball placement. You were saying this before we got on here. McCord's ball placement was great all night. My only thing about McCord is a slight nitpick. He double pumped a lot. He was waiting. He's like he wasn't quite sure if he wanted to throw it. That worked because Michigan State's defense is just bad. But that won't work against Scum. And now we're at that point in the year where everything we look at is this going to work against Scum? Is this going to work against those cheaters up north? And I don't think, like, that stuff I don't want to see. But other than that, yeah, the ball placement was great from McCord. He looked better in the pocket. He seemed to have good command of the offense. Like you said, we have that fumbled, the bad snap, and he just calmly collects it and makes a decent play out of it. Not too much to complain about there. The offensive line, they were okay. Their run blocking was kind of questionable again. They were missing some assignments. And Travion has an okay game too because of that. Only 4.8 yards per carry, but he had a nice touchdown run. The plays he makes, though, sometimes just turning what should be like 3-yard losses into a 1-yard gain is amazing by him.
I know exactly the play you're talking about, and they were gushing over him on the broadcast. You were there, so you didn't hear it, but they said exactly what you just said. He'll take a 1 yard gain and turn it into 3 yards, and a 1 yard loss and turn it into a 2 yard gain. Those are huge. That doesn't look like much, but that is huge when you're
keeps you on schedule.
Yeah,
as Ryan Day likes to say.
You're 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 10. I mean, you're probably throwing it twice in a row on 2nd and 10, although Day has not done that in the past. But usually you would think you're forced to. In 2nd and 7, your entire playbooks.
Oh, yeah. Cade Stover comes back this week, too. 7 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. Great to have him back. Looked relatively healthy, maybe not quite as fast as before, but I think that's kind of what we're going to get the rest of the year from him. Defensively, we're missing both starting safeties, or 2 of the 3 starting safeties, I guess. And we slide Sonny back and basically played Hancock as a third DB instead of the third safety. And Hancock has a pretty nice game, too. Makes a couple nice PBUs. I'd say that's it wasn't like they had a lot of yards. They only ended up with 180 yards or something like that. But it did, even at the stadium, it seemed like they had way more than that, because it seemed like, on their first series of downs, every possession, they would rip off some 20-yard or 30-yard gain and be in our territory like that, and then do nothing with it because they couldn't pass the ball at all consistently. And a lot of that I put on the safeties. Sonny, it was funny, I was telling you the story. Right before his sack, I'm mentioning to my wife, who went to the game with me, I'm like, man, it's the backup safeties are why we're getting these big plays. They keep taking bad angles and not stopping these runs for 6-yard gains instead of 16, 20-yard gains. And I'm like, 6 is good. I'm like, 6, which is Styles, is good, but he's usually good near the line. And as I'm saying that, he's walking up to the line. I'm like, see, he's walking up there right now. I like him there better. And then he comes in and makes the sack immediately. I felt like Nostradamus there for a minute. But yeah, Hartford, I thought, had a very up and down game. Took a lot of bad angles, missed a lot of plays, but he also had a couple PBUs. It's kind of how you, I guess, expect a true freshman to look.
Yeah, I was overall really impressed with the defense. Not only those guys were out, but Eichenberg out too. I mean, 3 starting players on your defense are out, and you hold a team to 3 points and 180 yards or whatever. I don't care who you're playing. That's good.
Right. With Ransom and Eichenberg are kind of like the safety valves. They're the sure things. You're not going to get, if you get past one, you're not getting past the other, but they're usually not getting past the first one. So having both of them out, it explains a lot about what happened in those plays. Then we look at special teams. I guess we have to take a look at, again, not special. Every game there's something that goes wrong. Parker Fleming, what do you do here? We already know the answer. Nothing. Miss a field goal. Still haven't made one over 41 yards. That was a 42-yarder, so apparently 41 is the range, at least with accuracy. He's got a leg, Fielding does, but the accuracy leaves much to be desired. And Michigan State's kicker, they're trying a 59-yarder, which was ridiculous. Dumb attempt. Though I think it had the length. It just was a little left. The 54-yarder, though, was on my end of the stadium. I was about the 20-yard line. And that thing cleared the post by about that much. But the fact that they're willing to try it is good news. And I think if that kid's still eligible, let's go for the transfer portal. Let's offer him some money.
Speaking of Fleming, I'm not to go away from our game and talk about scum, but I think it's hilarious that Penn State fires their offensive coordinator, and Franklin has had, I believe, in 10 years, 5 offensive coordinators, and he can never win a big game. Are you shitting me? They're going to fire that guy mid-season, but we keep this shit pile of a coach that is obviously
Yeah, it's a weekly thing. And then we also wasted a timeout on a punt because we couldn't get the right personnel in. It was a literally time in the game, and I think somebody was supposed to be in that was hurt at the time, may have been injured. I can't, because I was kind of watching somebody limp off the field. I think it was, actually, JT got injured right before that. I don't know if he was supposed to be out on that or not. I don't think he's on punt team. But it seemed like something was amiss. But again, we waste timeout for special teams, and we miss a kick. We also... Okay, we didn't talk about this yet. What was with us taking the penalty and making them re-punt that kick after one of our best punt returns in years? And we ended up getting 10 yards worse field position on it. We could have tacked on 5 yards to the return.
Yeah, I missed. I was putting my kids to bed or something like that. I can't remember, but I rushed down and I'm like, oh yeah, and I saw him returning it, and then they threw a penalty and I'm like, why? I don't think we should accept that. And then they, oh well, let's see. And then of course he booms one 60 yards, something like that. I'm like,
we fair catch it.
Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah, that pissed me off.
It may have been because they had bad snaps. They must be on a backup long snapper because he was floating some back there too and had some bad snaps. And maybe we thought we were going to block it. But, I mean, why? Why take that? I don't get it. I mean, I get a lot of times the idea is to, if they have to cover a second kick, that's more likely that you break one because they're tired or whatever. But we had a good return already, and you could have just added the 5 yards. We'd have been at midfield almost. Instead, we're making them re-kick it, and we get it at the 35, or the 30 or something. It was dumb. I don't know what we were doing. But that's about the only thing. We're picking nits. As we get done with Michigan State, move on to Minnesota this week. Big Ten West. What's up, guys? Way to bring your stink into our stadium for Senior Day. Not a whole lot to say. I say statistically and in a lot of ways, this team will remind you of Rutgers. They want to run the ball first. Not the most ideal thing going into Scum the next week, but they're also not that good, so we should be able to blow their doors off. Funny thing, though, I'm sitting there right before I looked at the spread, which by the way, we cover the points against Michigan State, but we hit the under again. That's been a recurring theme lately. And I think 2-0 for you again this week. I think I went 1-1. I was like, 38-10 sounds about right for this one. A little bit less scoring for us, maybe a little bit more for them. And the spread is 28, and the over-under is 48.5. So me and Vegas and I are seeing this the same. What do you see Saturday as the Golden Goofs come in, the row your boats?
I'm with you there. I think I'm comparing them to Michigan State since that's who we just played. Their defense is a little bit better than Michigan State's, and the offense is a little bit better.
Their defenses are very, very similar statistically.
They are. I guess I'm going off of points given up.
It's like a 2-point difference, I think.
Is it? Maybe I was looking at
given up. But the other side of the ball is about touchdown difference.
Maybe I was looking at just the conference then. But anyway, I thought maybe we would shut Michigan State out, and we damn near did by this much. That field goal. So I wouldn't be shocked if we shut these guys out too. I don't see them. I don't think they'll get in the end zone. They might score 3 or 6, but I don't think we're gonna come out hot and score 5 straight touchdowns or whatever we did in the first half. Yeah. There's obvious tendency to look ahead. I hope we don't too much. Minnesota's not awful like Michigan State is, I don't think. I mean, they're above average.
They're right at average. I mean, they just lost by 19 to Purdue, though. It was not a good team. We've seen them.
So, I mean, obviously we're not going to lose, but if we take them lightly and look ahead, it could be, we might only win by 20 or 17. But I'm thinking it's going to be I'll go with 35-6. That's what I think.
So under and just barely cover.
Yep.
Yeah, I told you my 38-10. I'll go with it. I'll take the push. I'm gonna really double down. Wonder what my odds are on a push on that. Exact score.
I don't want to push on FanDuel anyway.
You can't. I mean, you can in soccer. Why not in football? I think I would take the points just because of the maybe letdown factor. It's the week before. We just played a good game. You're not trying to string back-to-back games, going into it. I don't think. I wouldn't be. As a coach, I'm not as I call them whip games. I'm not going to the whip on this horse for this week. I'm letting our guys rest that need rest. Get ready for Scum. That's all that matters. And I don't see a way we lose this game, and I don't see a way we don't win by less than 2 touchdowns. Scum beat them 52-10 in their house earlier this year. They lost back-to-back games to Illinois and Purdue, who are not good teams. Like, this is not a good football team coming in here. And PJ Fleck, though, he'll get them fired. Like, I expect to see their best effort, though. So that's why I think it's more like a 31-10 type game, maybe. Like, their defense isn't horrible, and I don't expect us to click on all cylinders. But if Marv decides he wants to win this Heisman the way he looks, I could see us just blowing their doors off. Okay. Yeah.
I will say, if he gets 3 more touchdowns, he's not going to be the favorite, but he might be second.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was on his way to a 5-touchdown game, the way that started out. And then Michigan State, I didn't mention this earlier, but yeah, in the stadium, I don't know if you could see it on TV, the respect they were giving to Marv after he scored that second touchdown, 2 seconds into the second quarter, they were shading the safety over to him no matter what we were doing. No matter what. I mean, way over, not a little bit over. Like, they were basically lining straight up with the safety bracketing him with the corner. If Scum especially wants to try and do that, we need to be ready to exploit it. We did exploit it a little bit later in the game. We ran that wheel route to Xavier Johnson out of the backfield as Marv took the safety and the corner with him, and it wide open for a huge gain, huge chunk of yards. So I'd like to see more of that. All right, so as I always say at the end of these podcasts, though, Casey, and I think I know the answer this week, did the Buckeyes' performance increase your hopes of a national championship or make them go down or even?
It definitely went up. It was the most complete game of the entire year, I think, except for not scoring many points in the second half, but that's completely because we put backups in.
Yeah.
Not really much to nitpick. And then plus, I was not that impressed with Scum, and they're obviously the only thing that's going to stand in our way of at least making the playoff. And then when you're in the playoff, who knows? So my hopes are definitely higher. I thought it was 50-50 if we beat Scum. Now I'm thinking like 60-40. I think McCord is actually better than McCarthy. I think Henderson is better than Corum, and Harrison is clearly better than anybody they have. So, and then our defenses are probably equal.
Yeah. It'll be the trenches, though, like it always is. If we can slow them down, I mean, they ran the ball a million times in a row against Penn State there to win that game. But Penn State, I'll say this, my biggest miss in the preseason preview, Drew Aller, I could not have been more wrong that he was an improvement over what they've had in the past. That kid is so gun-shy. Like, he has zero confidence right now. Zero. None. Zip. Zilch. Zero confidence that he can do anything against a good defense. He just wants to not throw interceptions, and that you can't play football like that where that's your only goal is to not throw an interception. Because the goal is to score points, not just not turn the ball over.
It would have been interesting to see what he'd look like under Day, because I bet that's a huge difference, just how they develop.
I'm sure. Yeah, I wish he was here. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it's got to go up. McCord did have that best game. Even if there was little flaws in his game, it's his best game. You want to see him, peaking his confidence so he doesn't look like Aller looked against Scum, against those cheaters up north. And I think we're moving towards that. I think Day's got to come in there ready to let him rip it and see what can happen and not be afraid to lose. And because there's going to be a ton of pressure, and I guess we'll talk about it more as we get closer to that game. But I guess this will be the last podcast we do previewing the Buckeyes before that game. You basically get 3 wins and 1 this year if you can do it. That's a lot of pressure. That is a lot. He can undo everything. We can just say, you know what? It was because of the cheating. It was because of the cheating. You win this one. But if you let them win, it wasn't because it was. Doesn't matter.
Think about how much pressure's on them, though, too. They got to, in their minds, I wonder if in the players' minds, if they're wondering, did we just win because we were cheating?
Maybe if they had struggled more. You can tell the way they're talking, though. You just don't have that mindset, I don't think, ever as an athlete. And, like, playing for a football team, you're almost like you're in a cult. And that's for every single person. Because you're buying in, like, earlier the military. You're buying into stuff that you would never buy into outside of this structure. Like, the team, being the team player, I'm going to go out there and bust my ass and get killed if I'm a scout team player for nothing. Like, I'm not going to get anything for it, basically. Like, you're not even on scholarship. You're not getting – the girls aren't coming to you. The newspapers aren't coming to you. You're not getting NIL money. You're getting nothing. You're just going out there getting yourself killed for nothing. Now, that's not how real life works. Like, you would move on and go do something else. But you're putting yourself in this mindset that's just different than the normal person's going to think. And that mindset, I think, would help me think, no, it wasn't them. It was us. I know it was us. And I'm going to go prove that it was us. That's what I think they're at. I don't think it's – I mean, the way they're talking like that now, they're also playing the victim card like the assholes they are. You got caught cheating. You haven't even denied it that you got caught cheating. You're just trying to basically use the rules of due process to give yourself a chance to win a championship this year. That will get taken away from you. It will get taken away from you because you've cheated this year, and everybody knows it. So, like, it's infuriating. This is such a shameless thing, and it goes against everything that everybody says. Oh, it's amateur sports and intercollegiates. It's about more than just the game. Yeah. No, you are showing that that sportsmanship, integrity, everything you're supposed to be molding these young men into good men is basically like, no, F it. Whatever we did is right, and F the other people. And if they come after us, then they're the assholes. Like, get out of here with that crap. You're shit. You're shit. If you think that way in any walk of life, you're a shit human. That's my thought.
And you said it best in one of the texts you sent was, if there really is a such thing as karma in this world, we are going to shit down their throats.
Yeah. God, wouldn't it be wonderful? and actually do it. Like, we suddenly trot out. We've captured Jim Harbaugh and trot him out there so Ryan Day can shit down his throat at the end of the game. In the middle of Michigan Stadium. Oh, in that toilet bowl. Needs to be filled with shit. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week, though. We got to save it. Save the venom for next week. Yeah. And that's those cheaters up north. Cannot wait. But let's go ahead and take care of business this week. For the Dyerwolf, I'm just Matt, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world.